So welcome back to another video. As you can see now, I've got this swing arm lighter. I've took everything off it I can as far as I'm aware, and I'm now going to use my impact gun with a drill attachment and a wire wheel with some old fluff on it. Had these for years, these wire wheels. And yeah, I'm going to give it a go. I've got bigger wheels if I need them, but I think they're the same thickness, so I don't think it'll make much of a difference. I'm going to see if I can get some of this done today. Let's see how it goes. Let's just start on a bit that you can probably see. Well, it was working well until it undone itself. I haven't got a screwdriver, so I couldn't tighten it up, so I've put it on the opposite direction, so hopefully that help keep it on and even tighten it. Try a bit in this location. And we'll just get the main bits of dirt off and go at it with some sandpaper instead, because there's an extension on this. It wobble about a bit, so when you turn it you can see it's wobbling all over the place a bit. Don't want to run this impact gun too long either, really, because it gets pretty hot. Not meant for long-term use, are they? Turn around a bit so you might be able to see the main parts of the rust in it. You'll notice on this side it's darker because that's all the oil and stuff that gets on it, especially from when there was a Scott oiler on this. That's why I took it off straight away. Well, let's get the dirt off. The main parts of the rust are going to take quite a bit to get off. I did have a little work on there where the main part is. Got some new stickers on order, so I'll put them back on either after I've painted it or just keep them in the logbook. So I gave it a bit of a quick clean up, got loads of the thick dirt off. Not everything, but that's not necessary because we've got to sand everything off. I went up and got some sandpaper and a block. This is 400, but I've got some 800 and something else as well. I'll just go over it as best I can for now and see how it goes. Well, as hopefully you can see, I've spent a fair bit of time going over it now. Lost most of the main shine of the original coating. Got some little bits of rust off here and there, but there's some awkward bits to get to. Some I'll have to just keep going over and over with the wire brush when I can. Hopefully you can see I've done a fair bit of work with the sandpaper on these side bits as well. This side, this is really pitted. That's even higher than the paint itself as that bubbled. It's bringing the rust off quite nicely. Like I say, I don't mind too much of this. I can't get rid of all the texture, but the primer and paint might cover that up anyway, but I've got to get all the rust off. I'm going to give it a rest for now. You can see this side a fair bit is off as well. So what I'm going to do now, like I say, I'm going to leave this part here. There's some other little bits to get in. Most of it's going to have to be done by hand. I can't really afford to send it off for blasting and stuff like that. Like I say, I'll just get it as best I can. Paint it and stuff is still going to be better than it was, I think. I'm still halfway through getting this done. The swing arm, of course. But I wanted to show you this progress I've made on the swing arm so far. As you can see, most of it is ground off. See, look, there they go with it. Some of these bits are awkward to get to, and that, especially with sandpaper by hand. The main bit of rust underneath is mostly off, but where it's all pitted and stuff, I don't know if I'm ever going to get that back to perfect. But either way, I think once it's all ready, it's going to be better than it was. Where you can see like the gold then is faded to this. That takes ages just to start getting the gold off, even with some coarse sandpaper. And then even this, then rubber, still takes ages to get off. I might get to a point soon where I'm like, well, I'm just going to spray it, hope that the etch primer holds, sticks to it, doesn't react in any way, anywhere, which it can do if you leave bits of paint on, but I don't know how it will be on this pitting, because most of the rust is off, like I say, and I've used ACF 50 on it every now and then to wipe it while I'm not working on it, and then clean it off and then sand more, but yeah, most of it's there. So there we are. At the first paint point, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I've got it as best I can. I've cleaned it again, I've masked a little bit up where I felt I needed to. I've put the little bolts back in that hold the chain guard and chain guide on, which is, I don't know if you can see it here, here and here. I put a little bit of masking tape on the thread. You can also put it on the heads and stuff if you don't want them painted, but I thought I might as well just paint them as well. I've not got a respirator. I had a look, and obviously because of what's going on with this COVID-19, it's almost impossible to find them in stock at the moment as well. So I've got just a neck tube on my Alpine Stars, what I wear when I'm on my bike, and I'll just cover my nose and mouth with that. I've got the windows open. I've gave the primer a good shake up. Now had it sitting in some warm water for over 5 minutes, and I'll give it another good shake up and we'll give it a good go. I'll try and give it a nice coat. I'm also using this one of these paint guns that goes on the can to help work the can a bit better. They can be a bit of a pain to get on, so you have to do it a certain way, so you follow the instructions. I think these even have instructions on the actual gun. You just got to make sure you have it square to the can and just push it on. They're quite hard to get on, but once they're on the line, they're solid. And that should be pretty good. I'll give it a shake as I go, and as you see, I've got my setup like this. So I've just got a couple of paint tins here. I've got some blue roll head, hold it on. I'll put a bit of blue roll on top just to protect the rest of the blue. I'll do a bit of paint get on the first one layers. Another couple so I can turn this over to get the other side. But right, I guess we'll just get started. Let's give it a bit of a spray there just to make sure it's coming out okay. And let's go. I'm no professional, by the way. I'm just gonna do this. I just empties the nozzle. Right, so since you last saw me, I did put another couple of little coats, or one or two, I can't exactly remember, it was a few hours ago, of more primer on it. This primer is actually, if I didn't say, it's an etch primer, so it actually has acid in it to make it really eat into and cling hold of the metal. I decided to use that because of the state of the swing arm, because it's a swing arm. I want paint that I put on to hold as best as possible, and this will be a good test of the paint, because as I say, it's a tough paint, and that's why I'm using that, because obviously you want it to be able to be durable on a swing arm, and I don't want after all this work for it to then all start coming off and all the rest of it. So I've got it warming in some warm water again. That just helps it lay down better and all the rest of it. And I'm going to give as many coats as I can. Get the paint ready. I've gave it a good shake already, and like I say, I've had it sitting in the warm water. I didn't realise how much that wasn't showing up on camera on the last clip. I would have shown some of it, I'm sure. Obviously I've done none of the editing yet, but I have checked that and it was very dark in here. Although it was still light outside and we still had a couple of hours at least of light left, maybe more, when I filmed that. But yeah, so you couldn't see exactly what happened, but if I just pass the camera quickly, you might be able to see the mess on the floor and everything anyway. I did try showing you on camera, but whether I put it in or not, because I don't know if it's show or not. There's still a fair bit of paint in there, something. You can see it's all covered in the paint. But what's happened was when I tried putting that gun thing on, which is really good when they go on and they really hold well, and it does help to do this. I can still spray. I'm going to spray without it because I don't want to risk doing it again. But these are like the normal aerosols you get with the red part sticking out when you put the nozzle on. The primer wasn't like that, so that wouldn't have mattered if that happened to that, and that shouldn't have broke it or anything. I don't want to start doing that again. I've got some gloves there anyway, just in case things got bad. But yeah, when I was trying to put the gun on, it slipped, pushed the nozzle off and bent it. Oh, there we go. Oh shoot, that's not going to help. It's only a little bit on my fingers. That come off quite easy actually, you just have to wash your hands a couple of times. Because I got it all over my hands and they are pretty clean apart from what I just put on there. But yeah, that bent that, so every time I was spraying it, it was actually coming out from what I assume is underneath the red nozzle bit, or I don't know what you'd call it. So yeah, so that can was pretty much buggered. But yeah, luckily my local shop, Roy's local supermarket, actually stocks the Simonese paint which I'll use, if that's how you say it. So I went down there to have a look, there we go, today. And I went there and I was looking around, I was looking at all the paints because I just got one little shelf of them. And they got like the heat resistant paint, what you can paint exhaust with and stuff like that there. They had some different primers, some other stuff I think there. There was a few things, but I couldn't see the tough paint. But luckily I then sort of leant down a bit and I saw some right at the bottom, and they were the last two cans. Came back, took this through into the front room onto a bit of cardboard, just sanded it lightly around it. Well, I got most of it smooth again. You'll see little blemishes and stuff, but you know, it's mostly smooth, and that's what I want. So what I'm gonna do is go over it obviously with these cans. I've got to try and use both cans to get a really thick layer on, because that's what you want anyway when you're doing a swing arm, right? You know, you want a good old thick layer so it's extra durable, which is why I'm using this paint and the X primer originally underneath. Right, so now it's been 48 hours, this has been sitting there. Well, not sitting here, I did have it in the front room for a bit, and I was basking in the sun yesterday for a bit to just give it a bit of warmth to help it cure on it. I got a little bit impatient towards the end, and because I wanted it really thick on the underside, because this is the orientation that'll be bike forward, back wheel here, and the main parts that'll get battered. Well, the main part is this part, so I really put it on thick on the bottom there. And for the most part it's come out really good. Oh, I've got cardboard down there, but hopefully that didn't cause any issues, or won't. But yeah, I'm hoping this paint, which is called tough paint, is, as it says, tough paint. If it's not, if it turns out crap and it starts coming off really quick, it's like, well, at least we know not to use that again. But as you may or may not be able to see, I've had to put some lights on because it's a bit dark again. It's about 6:30. It's almost exactly like 48 hours after. I don't know, but as you can see, because I was really laying it on thick on the other side here, you've got a few runs that are coming up here. They're quite awkward to see in certain lights, so I'm not too bothered about it. I'm not even going to bother trying to sand them out or anything. And Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it for the most part. And there are a couple of little parts here and there where it's slightly textures where I've got a bit of dust on it. Not actual dust, just paint dust has got onto it and not laid thick enough to be smooth. But a lot of it is nice and smooth. But the main thing is that it's painted. It's better than it was, all the rust is gone. And hopefully that won't come back. It's looking good now. Next time you'll see me, I'll be fitting it. I was going to fit it today, but I forgot I'm still waiting on some little bits and pieces. A new nut and bolt and washer for the suspension, a couple of washers for the axle for the rear wheel, and just little bits and pieces like that just to refresh them while I'm doing it. But anyway, I'll leave that there. That's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. There's a lot of editing to go through. But that's the Swingarm ready, and the next time you see me, that'll be on the bike and we'll be out to take it for a ride. And after a certain amount of time, I'll probably do a video of how it held up and all that sort of thing. But if you want to see how it's going, because obviously you'll see before time if you follow me on Twitter, Instagram or Facebook. I don't post on them all the time, but if you're on those, you can follow me. If you ever want to get in contact with me, I'll get your messages at some point or whatever, and I'll post now and then if there are some updates to do, or I've done a cool photo or whatever. I will post on there, or when I'm putting a video up, I'll usually post on those as well. So anyway, I'll leave you to it there, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.